Rebonjour. Vu que les aliens ça ne fonctionnait pas trop, on va tester un petit jeu pour voir si ça me plaît bien. J'ai souvent entendu parler mais jamais essayé. Please choose screen selection subtitle. Je vais remettre en français quand même. Veuillez choisir une langue pour les textes et les sous-titres. Toujours en français. Ah attends. Ouais non, confirmé, ça me semble très bien. Non. Toujours le truc de à peine visible, t'entends quoi par là? Je suis jamais vraiment sûr. Mais là comme ça me semble bien. Confirmé. En trailer actuel. Alors, 5 heures. Ah, fuck. Stop. IP. Ok. Ok. Tout ça pour ça. Ouais, ok, commencer le jeu. L'écran dans l'écran. Allez, hop.
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
Ok. Je suis
Stanley
Stanley.
worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.
Ouais, comme beaucoup de boulot.
This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year.
D'accord, rendre
And
quelqu'un
although others
encore.
might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job.
Bah écoute,
Stanley was happy.
c'est peut-être la chose la plus importante
And
possible.
then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi.
Bien, c'est quoi les
Never
raisons?
in
Alors
all
aujourd'hui,
his
on va
years
appuyer sur
at
la
the
touche
company
I,
had this happen.
suivi de la
This
touche
complete
Y,
isolation.
et ensuite W.
Something was very
Et ce sera tout
clearly
pour aujourd'hui. Merci
wrong.
beaucoup.
Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Je peux pas me rasseoir? Je peux pas me rasseoir. Attends, est-ce que je peux interagir avec des... Ah, je fais comment ça? Ah. Ok, X, je peux taper dans le clavier. Ah, je tape même dans le vide, top. Pas, personne n'a ça, hein. Le clavier invisible, c'est propre à moi-même. J'ai su m'accroupir. Ah, ok, L2 s'accroupir. Enfin, c'est tout. Non, ok, bah écoute. Non, je peux pas aller ici. Je peux pas aller ici.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Non, je veux aller dans les autres pièces. Fais chier.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Peut-être qu'ils sont cachés sur le bureau, hein. Non, on dirait pas. Oh. J'ai envie de me retourner à mon bureau. Rien à foutre du reste. Ouais. Ah, je peux pas non plus. Ok. Bah écoute, on va faire un peu ce que la voix dit pour l'instant. Je sais pas ce que c'est en tout cas, même si c'est une des vitres qui est très lumineux dehors. C'est triste, autant de numéros comme ça. Il y en a qui ont droit à des bureaux en plus, des bureaux privés. C'est très bureau là-bas derrière. Non, ok. Allez, 420, je sens bien. Pas du tout. J'en ai plus partout. Tu ne me vois pas? Tu ne me vois pas? Bon, c'est chiant. Putain, attends, c'est un labyrinthe cet endroit, tu dois... C'est quoi ces trucs trop bizarres là? Genre c'est vraiment pas bureau d'un coup.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Non. On m'a dit de toujours prendre en haut à droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Je peux pas revenir en arrière, fichier. Ah, j'aime pas trop le fait de dicter ce qu'il me veut là. Comment ça? Mais c'est quoi ces bureaux Je pourrais admirer.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all. Just as but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
La première porte ouverte, je pense à gauche, je vais aller à l'espérance. J'ai pas envie d'aller là, j'ai envie d'aller là. Ouais. Ça me donne quand même envie de l'écouter un peu parce que ça ressemble pas au reste de la... Non, je t'écoute pas.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Appuyer sur des boutons, ça va, je crois qu'en étant en direction, tu peux un peu le... Y'a pas grand chose à faire ici. Et quand toutes les portes sont derrière moi, je peux pas revenir en arrière si je veux. Je suis bloqué. Bon. Putain, la taille de l'entrepôt. Je sais pas ce qu'on produit ici, alors qu'on n'utilise que des boutons, mais... Penalty for misuse of cargo lift. A penalty for jumping out the cargo lift. Do not jump from the cargo lift while it's in motion. Will go stiff.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps... But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Oui, je sais. The end is never the end, there is never the end. Allez. J'ai un message. Salut mon rouge. Je ferme la porte et j'arrive dans le bureau. Ouais, ciao.
Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by? He no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive.
Je veux sortir.
Soon,
je veux sortir.
Very soon now,
Monsieur
this
Lavoie.
will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do.
Donc,
Now it's just a little bit closer.
Et tu parles trop.
Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Je me cache. Ah, qu'est-ce que je fais? Ok, alors je vais attendre qu'il parle. Attends, alors après. Il est... Ok. Il dit plus rien? Ah. Ah si, je peux encore interagir. Ça se ferme derrière moi? Non, je peux la fermer. Et je peux plus ouvrir. Ok. Est-ce que je peux ouvrir les autres maintenant?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ça va recommencer en boucle.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire
J'en ai
it.
rien à foutre de ce truc d'employé.
Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Je vais retourner où j'étais et ne pas tomber, voir ce qui se passe. Hop.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's
Je ne suis
incredible
pas
he
nul à
wasn't
écouter les
5
directions,
years
je fais
ago.
juste ce qui me plaît, c'est tout. Attends. Penalty for misuse of cargo list. Bah écoute,
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Bah on dirait. Hein.
I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this, but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side. Give me a chance.
Allez, une. Je donne une chance. Bah ouais, mais par contre, ça suffit rien. Okay.
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
Ah, c'est tentant, c'est tentant, c'est tentant. Mais on a dit qu'on lui laissait une chance. Alors monsieur, je te laisse une chance.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time? The problem is all these choices. The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just the way you're doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier if we just stopped.
Non?
And I think I have a solution. Here, let me show you.
Ok. Allez, je meurs et on reprend à zéro, je suppose, c'est ça?
What do we want? What are we looking for?
C'est de réunion? Ok, c'est ça, cet endroit. Je t'en avais fait ça, autour des extraterrestres, c'est parti.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Attends.
If we just stay right here, right in this moment with this place, Stanley, I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
Oh, so happy. I feel happy. J'ai pas la suite. Est-ce que je reste ici pour lui faire plaisir? Non. Je me taille, mon vieux.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Je crois pas à bonheur de cette façon.
Oh no. Stay away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this.
Ça serait con.
Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me.
Quoi?
Please, Stanley, think about what you're doing.
C'est ton bonheur que tu cherches, pas le mien. Hein. Allez. C'est ciao.
No! Oh.
Quoi?
Thank God. You lived.
C'est impossible.
You had me worried there for a moment. Now, can we please get back to the other room?
Non.
No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
Pour voir ce qui va se passer.
Stanley, let's go back to the other room. Can you do that for me?
Non. On a que tirer profit.
Is this really how much you dislike my game? That you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill yourself to keep me from being happy. Am I reading the situation correctly?
Non, tu te trompes, c'est juste que je n'aime pas le fait d'être utilisé, mon gars. Allez.
Or maybe you're just getting a kick out of it. I don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along. But I guess that was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice after all. Well, this one is yours.
C'est une dernière fois? Allez, une petite dernière.
Is it over? It's going to restart, isn't it?
J'espère bien, oui.
Back.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is loading. T'as encore un truc à dire? Même heure qu'avant, ok. J'ai un message, putain, j'ai un message, je vais écouter mon message! 727, sur le même numéro, maintenant toujours envie de café tout pourri. Allez.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Bon. Et si je faisais...
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ok. C'est des rues.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
Allez, cette fois-ci, j'écoute tout ce qu'il dit. On va monter au bureau du boss. Et... bah voilà du coup. Oh.
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh. Ah wow, directement, c'est vachement différente. Bah putain, on se fait pas chier ici. I've got the feeling, motive for stealing, but no yours, of course. Say that's a lovely purse. Ok, d'accord. Ouais, intéressant ça. Madame la secrétaire, ou monsieur le secrétaire, bien évidemment, chacun fait ce... Allez, j'ai écouté la voix.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
280. 2845.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
J'aime pas le fait de suivre ce qu'on me dit comme ça aveuglément. Ça commence à me gonfler un peu. Je le fais pour toi, frérot, cette fois-ci. Hein. Mais après, je te jure que... on arrête. J'ai pas écouté ce qu'il vient de me dire. Bon, je sais pas de toute façon. Et ça ressemble fort au couloir qu'on voyait dans les bureaux spéciaux. Bah, on saute. Ah, ok, non, on saute pas. Ça ressemble... Ah. Ok, on n'a plus de hand.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Ah, je peux remonter si je veux. Non, on va voir s'il y a une finalité à ce truc.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ouais. Non, je suis curieux. On fera la solution de secours par après. Mais je ne tiens pas à ce que tu crois que je t'écoute, mon vieux. Hein. Je ne fais que ce que je veux.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Oui, de façon générale, oui. On parle beaucoup quand même de show là.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
427. Vas-y, repasse. J'ai envie de voir si c'est bien mon bureau qu'on voit. Triste. Qu'est-ce qui va nous sortir cette fois-ci? Ascenseur? Ou voir les hommes?
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true.
Whoa.
Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Et du coup, une voix qui me parle dans la tête et que je suis aveuglément, ce n'est pas du tout commentaire.
He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable.
Never.
Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Allez. Pour le coup, je suis assez d'accord avec ce que tu racontes, donc pourquoi pas. Mais je préfère la partie où quand même je ne t'écoute pas. System Power. J'ai tout coupé, là, on est d'accord, hein. On dit pas que j'ai eu la tenue l'air de fin quand même. Ouais.
And a rising chill of uncertainty.
Il parle beaucoup quand même, là, tu vois.
Was it over?
Bah j'espère pas, parce que moi j'ai d'autres...
Yes!
On va voir.
He had won! He had defeated the machine! Unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him. For it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
Non. Non, je veux pas. Je veux revenir en arrière. Je peux pas sauter. Passer sous les barrières, non. Par contre, le fait d'appuyer sur un clavier comme ça invisible, c'est fou. Comment ça, vous ne... Bah, j'ai un trophée, vous ne pouvez pas sauter. J'ai remarqué, ouais. Ah, fait chier.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Non, non, juste curieux, pas heureux. C'est pas ça qui m'intéresse. On recommence. Parfait. Tiens, elle bougeait de base l'horloge? Pas souvenir de ça. Ah là, il y en a une réunion. Ah. Tiens.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Ça avait changé à ce niveau-ci. Non. Si. Non.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
Parce qu'il voulait passer à la
Perhaps he
cafétéria
wanted to stop by the
admirer,
employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Tout ce
The lounge was sublime, a work of art.
Bof.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Attends, le problème de la dernière fois, c'était quoi encore? Parce que j'ai attendu, j'étais là-dedans. J'ai pas continué plus loin, je crois. Non, j'ai pas continué.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
J'ai envie d'aller là-haut.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here.
Non, on n'est pas parti du même
I'm
pied.
not your
Je t'ai écouté la partie
enemy,
d'avant.
I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about.
Qui ça?
Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself.
Non,
I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for, this is it, Stanley, your chance to redeem yourself,
Qui c'est
to
elle?
put your work aside, to let her back into your life.
Ok.
She's been waiting.
C'est quoi l'arnaque? C'est vrai aussi? Non, forcément. Alors je m'en fous, je me taille. Où est-ce que j'arrive? Pourquoi est-ce qu'il y a encore un truc tout noir, tout lugubre?
That's her, Stanley.
Hello?
You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Je la connais pas, mais je suis curieux. Allô? Giselle? Is that you? The fuck is that?
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
Bah ta mère, non?
Sorry, but you're in my story now.
Bah ouvre l'autre porte. Oh. Et par contre, on se pose des questions. Il crée un mur, il invente tout et tout est ok. Bonsoir, ma chérie. Comment vas-tu?
About the death of a man named Stanley.
Comment ça, la mort? J'appuierai sur toutes les autres touches sauf celle-là. Baltringue. Allez!
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Je t'emmerde profondément. Les autres touches ne veulent pas. Fuck.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
Bah, j'ai pas l'impression, non, parce que mes choix ne sont pas...
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him. And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. Down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions, and down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one. And I'm trying to tell him this. That in this world, he can never be anything but an observer.
Mais je
that
ne
as
veux
long
pas
as he
être qu'un
remains here,
observateur.
he's
Je
slowly
veux
killing himself. But he won't listen to
fermer
me.
ton caquet de
He won't
merde.
stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it. You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Mais je peux pas sortir, je vais pas attendre pendant des années comme ça quand même. Est-ce qu'il va dire un truc au bout d'un moment? J'attends ici, personne ne me voit là. Je suis caché. Vas-y maintenant, Alfredo. Dis-moi quelque chose. Il se passe rien? T'as pas du talent, con crétin? Mais j'ai appuyé sur le bouton, il va encore se foutre de ma gueule et...
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose.
Bon, okay,
I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time.
Ah,
And I
c'est pas la
tried
même heure que
again.
d'habitude.
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
The end is never the end, never the end, never the end, is never the end. Un peu flippant. Allez. Et l'heure est revenue à son heure normale. Ok. Mais les bureaux sont revenus.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Donc là, j'ai fait tous les passages possibles. Ouais. Donc on va aller en salle de réu. Ça a bien changé ici, dis-moi. Et pas ça.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Donc on salle de droite.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley for the first time understood true happiness. Then the feeling went away, and he felt sad again. Then it came back, and lingered for a minute or two. Now it's only half there. Just a kind of, tingle.
Qu'est-ce qu'il me raconte? Quand je reviens ici, il pète un plomb ou bien... Je peux pas revenir en arrière. Il y a des notices.
Yes, really worth it being here. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Toi aussi, je t'écoute. Là.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Non. Voilà. Où est-ce que ça nous a mené ça? Ah ah. T'es une librairie, mon vieux? Qu'est-ce que c'est quoi?
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here, it's, left.
Pas la possibilité d'aller ailleurs? Là, tu me laisses pas le choix, c'est ça qui est chiant. Je veux du choix. Est-ce que je peux revenir en arrière? Non.
Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Espèce de...
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
T'as perdu?
No,
Tu sais pas où on est?
We went down right, left, down, left, right.
Ouvre tout, je dirais moi.
Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Mais j'ai pas le choix, je suppose. Est-ce que je peux me barrer avec le camion? Non. Où est-ce qu'on arrive encore ici? Oh non.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
Non.
Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Quoi, comme ça, sans aucune raison. Je suis même pas mort. Méchant. Bon.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ok, on va retourner dans la meeting room et on va faire autre chose cette fois-ci. Ah,
When Stanley...
tiens.
Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Gauche, droite, où? Alors, on est à la backroom. Oh, c'est intéressant. Est-ce que j'arrive ici? Tout est ouvert. Absolument tout est ouvert. C'est génial. Effrayant, mais génial. Et ici, je reviens dans la pièce centrale. Ok, on va continuer par là.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
Non.
Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Il me gâche tout mon plaisir. Alfredo, t'es pas sympa.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Il brille fort son truc là, non? Est-ce que c'est un indice? Est-ce que c'est encore bugué cette fois-ci? Non, ok, ça on est déjà passé par ici. Très bien. Moi je tape sur les couilles invisibles toujours en attendant. Il n'y a plus de porte, ok, parfait.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Je peux passer par là? Il n'y a pas un autre endroit où je peux aller? Il faut que j'arrête de taper sur... Alors, qu'est-ce qu'on a raté? Comme le fait que ça, il y a des murs derrière. Des couloirs qui n'ont pas l'air d'être partie du bâtiment. Interagir avec rien, on dirait. Tout est inerte, sauf le clavier.
Aha! I knew we'd miss something.
Et encore
the
un carré
story.
parfait.
Here it comes. No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Je l'ai fait avant que tu me le dises, mon frère. Ok. Ok.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley?
Oui.
Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job.
Ta gueule.
Oh, no.
C'est pas ça qui me convient.
No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Et t'as pas fini de restarter tout comme ça? Je pourrais avoir vraiment le choix de dire oui, j'accepte ou non.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Intéressant. D'habitude, on va par là. C'est quoi là-dessus pour le coup? Ok.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. I'm not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Pas dans un petit rôle. Peut-être pas ça. C'est un peu plus agréable pour les oreilles. En tout cas, je système parfaitement. Je suis la ligne jaune sur un rythme de merde. Alors là, c'est plus compliqué par contre. Et ça va fort dans les oreilles en plus.
Cut the music.
Merci.
Go back and look at that fern.
Qu'est-ce qu'elle a la fougère? Tu as une fougère, toi?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
T'inquiète. J'ai une mémoire de dingue. C'est faux.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Je n'ai pas écouté tout ce que tu as dit.
No, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Ne recommence pas. Non. On rend fou. Ok, cette fois-ci on suit le chemin plus ou moins habituel.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us?
Ben, elle rien, toi rien, moi rien.
Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
J'ai pas d'autre choix. Bah écoute, let's go. Il n'y a pas de porte.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Ok. Et comment est-ce que je peux choisir?
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Ah, là, c'est un peu compliqué. Il y a qu'elle dans la pièce en dehors de moi. Ah, elle se barre, ok. Qu'est-ce que c'est que
ça? A choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. Okay. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
De gauche, du coup, monsieur. Allez.
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes?
J'ai pas vu ça.
So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really?
Okay.
No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Et j'ai resté si longtemps?
And the timer stopped?
Ok, parfait.
Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Je peux juste me barrer, s'il vous plaît, ça devient chiant.
Okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now.
Oui, mais même le voyage, là, je suis un peu perplexe sur la qualité du voyage, on va dire.
Well, in the meantime, if you...
C'était quoi ce bruit de merde? Toujours la même heure, toujours le même clavier, toujours les mêmes infos, toujours tout. Plus de lignes, plus rien.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Okay.
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ça aussi, je vais à celle de réunion.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Mais en revanche, je n'irai pas à celle du boss. J'irai ailleurs. J'irai en bas, tiens.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Oh, wow. Lugubre ici. On va interagir avec ça? Les voitures.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy.
Oui.
All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. He thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too, surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over.
J'avoue que la boucle
Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Allez, réveille-toi. Ça se réveille toujours pas. Non.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Chargement? On recommence à zéro?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body.
C'est glauque.
And then she turned and ran.
C'est très glauque. Alors, est-ce qu'on est toujours Stanley? Est-ce qu'on va être Mariella? Toujours là, Stanley. Eh ben, écoutez, c'est sur ça qu'on va s'arrêter si on sait sauvegarder. La question, est-ce que ça recommence à zéro?
All of his co-workers were gone.
Ouais, on verra ça une autre fois. Est-ce qu'il met commencer le jeu? Ouais, il met juste commencer le jeu. Il va faire un one shot? Je sais pas. Bah, écoutez, c'est sur ça qu'on s'arrête dans tous les cas. On verra une prochaine fois. Bonjour à la personne qui est là, apparemment. C'est sympathique. Et salut!